Okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
Let's go over here. That's fine. Let's see. There we go. We should
Hello? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Hello?
Oh, my God.
Hello?
It's fixed. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Damn
Let's
technology
go.
issues.
Holy cow.
You know what? Let's just start the show over.
Wait. Hang on.
Hold on.
Wait.
This
Hey!
We're live.
Holy crap.
Number one.
Hold on. You can't overtalk the guy.
Sorry. My bad.
Number one whenever news breaks during your day.
And number one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now
Let's
it's
see.
time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? It is the Monty Show. We are live.
Oh.
You know what? We have like 10 G's of equipment in this room right now, and sometimes it just doesn't want to work. And today apparently was one of those
The internet
times.
worked fine today, though, you know?
What's up? Good to see you. Obviously, we have a lot to get to. The Utah Jazz, as I said this morning. The Utah Jazz had a huge day. NBA free agency won, and as I said that you didn't hear, perhaps yesterday was the best day in the last 10 years for the Utah Jazz. We'll talk about that coming up. I think this Kevin Durant story is absolutely transformative when it comes to the NBA and the way business is done in the NBA. Is Karl Anthony Towns worth $50 million a year? Where will the Utah Utes end up? A huge day in sports yesterday. If you are listening on the podcast, God bless you. Thank you to everybody on Spotify. We are doing numbers on Spotify that we have never done before. So we really appreciate each and every one of you that listen on Spotify. For everybody that listens to us on Stitcher Radio, thank you. Apple, Google Play, wherever you get a podcast, just search The Monty Show. But now, without further ado, let's talk NBA free agency day one, the Utah Jazz. And I know a lot of people were kind of freaked out yesterday with what was going on with the Jazz. And I must have gotten 50 tweets yesterday saying, what are the Jazz doing? Oh my God, It's unbelievable. They haven't done a thing. And I say to that, au contraire, mon frere, I actually think yesterday was one of the biggest days. I think it's not too much to say in the history of this franchise, but certainly within the last 10 years. When you look at the moves the Jazz made yesterday, the decisions that were announced yesterday, names like Eric Paschall, names like Juancho Hernan-Gomez no longer on the team, Trent Forrest no longer on the team. When you look at the trade of Royce O'Neal to the Brooklyn Nets for a first-round pick, every day I will trade Royce O'Neal for a first-round pick. Yesterday was a very good day. The Jazz are under for the yesterday, by the way, just so you understand, was the last day of the 2021-2022 NBA season. So if you were under the salary cap luxury tax limit yesterday, you didn't pay luxury tax. With all of those moves, the Jazz were under the luxury tax. They will not be paying luxury tax. That's a win in itself. Then turn around and know you added a first-round pick. You have got all the flexibility financially, roster-wise. You have a pick as an asset now that you can flip and immediately trade that. You have all the assets that you need. You have all the space that you need. You have all the flexibility that you need to go and do any deal that you want to do. And to me, Jake, there's real value in that. I feel like yesterday was a very good day for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Danny Ainge is going to work on this team, and I think that when we think about the journey that it's been to get to this point, there were a lot of concerns and a lot of like, hey, like how is this offseason going to go? What is Danny going to do? And what are we going to be able to make happen? And I think you're starting to see what Danny Ainge is capable of. You're starting to see what direction he wants to take the roster. And not paying luxury tax, while that may seem like a small detail, it has big ramifications for later in the year when you try to, make trades happen or do deadline deals or things like that. Paying the luxury tax is obviously going to affect those things. So I think that's obviously a win, as you were just saying. I think that, getting a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal is classic Danny Ainge. I mean, that, to me, again, not to bag on Royce O'Neal, but I don't think that, a first-round pick was guaranteed for Royce. I think that a second-round pick definitely was guaranteed, but a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal is just impressive work. So, yeah, I thought Danny Ainge had a great day, and I think that there's a lot of things happening in the league that now the Jazz have to kind of wait to settle down just to see where everything sort of stands. And with the Kevin Durant situation and everything going on there, you just have to wait and see now. And I think that's what you need to understand as a Utah Jazz fan, is that now, in my opinion, you're sort of on hold for any major deals because of the Kevin Durant situation and the Utah Jazz potentially, being a third team or being involved in that on some level.
Yeah, and listen, I think, and thank you to everybody who's messaging me about our audio issues.
Yes, thank you.
We do appreciate that. I think yesterday was a great day. I really do, and I think that you were able to pull all of this off yesterday was fantastic, because obviously there's a lot of trades happening. And I think one of the things, and we're going to talk a lot more about Kevin Durant coming up, but one of the things we know for sure is the NBA is on hold right now. Everybody's waiting to see, and a lot of teams are positioning themselves to get in line, if you will, to gather assets, to gather cap space, to hold their water, to try and make a run at trading for Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, the Utah Jazz are likely not doing that. I think they should. If the Utah Jazz haven't called on Kevin Durant, they're crazy. But I think, again, you're now in a place that you can do kind of whatever you want. You have the guys, I think, that are in demand. Obviously, Rudy Gobert, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson. I think it's almost a mandatory move to offload Mike Conley's contract. You can do all of that now because you're under the cap. You can get involved in a sign-and trade, let's say. You can do anything you want. So I think if you're a Jazz fan and you're a little impatient, you just need to take a step back and understand, especially with this Kevin Durant situation, nothing is likely to happen quickly because the teams that you're talking to about, for instance, a Rudy Gobert, if you're talking to Atlanta about Rudy Gobert. I would imagine Atlanta has called Brooklyn and said, hey, what can we do here? I would imagine that a team like the Chicago Bulls has called Brooklyn to say, hey, what can we do here? I don't know that Toronto would be involved in a Kevin Durant pursuit. I'd find that surprising, but stranger things have happened. My point in all of this is, what I'm telling you, things are not going to move quickly until Kevin Durant gets moved. Until that Brooklyn situation gets worked out, I think the NBA is going to come to not a halt. I think you're going to see things are going to slow down significantly. So now most of the NBA, and I think including the Utah Jazz, from what I've been told, everybody's going to take a breath and kind of reevaluate where they are. Yesterday was a history-making day. We saw the 3 largest contracts in the history of the NBA were handed out yesterday. The Kevin Durant situation, I mean, just all of these things that were announced. Yesterday was a foundationally forming day in the NBA and the way business gets done. And that includes the Jazz. So I think if you're a Utah Jazz fan, I think you should feel very good. Let's get some of your comments in here. I'm going to move past the original ones with the sound. And again, we appreciate it. Let's see. Rudy Sanchez, good morning to you. He says, morning, fellas. Good for the Jazz to get a first-round pick and not have to take back salary in the O'Neal trade. Totally agree.
Yep.
Totally agree. And by the way, knowing what we know now, I'm a little surprised that Brooklyn was willing to give up a first-round pick to get Royce O'Neal. I'm a little surprised by that. Now, on the flip side, obviously, I think they're probably going to get, 3 to 6, 3 to 8 by some accounts of first-round picks and pick swaps with teams for Kevin Durant. So, I mean, you traded somebody else's first-round pick essentially that you'd acquired. Mm-hmm. So we'll see exactly how all that shakes out. But, yeah, absolutely, I am willing to give up a first round or to get a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal, no doubt. Caleb, good morning to you, my friend. Braden McLean says, well, the silence is better than static.
Well,
at least, we've.
Sometimes you just got to reset the thing.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? Some of the comments during the audio issues this morning were funny. BB says, love the hands. We need to learn sign language. Lorenzo Miranda says, hold up a sign. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Better. Okay, good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
David Humes says, let's go. Yeah, let's go. Brandon McLean says, bye-bye, Royce. Was the first rounder worth it? Is it to get a better price from another team? I think that's hugely part of this. They're going to flip that first-round pick. This league is not built anymore, in my opinion, by keeping your first-round picks, drafting guys, and developing them. I don't. You can't tell me right now if they could. Are you telling me that the Orlando Magic wouldn't trade Paolo Banchero to get Kevin Durant right now?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely they would. So, yeah, I think you're going to flip that. No doubt about that. I think yesterday was a great day. I really do. Jesus Christ destroys atheism.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Utah sent Royce O'Neal to Brooklyn for a first-round pick that's a good start. Flip that for a better defender. Also, Utah is very interested in Gary Trent Jr. I saw on Bleacher Report. Well, I mean, where did you hear about Gary Trent Jr. first?
Come on, man.
Just on some hacks podcast.
Come on, man.
Right? Travis Berg, good morning to you. I will message you my top secret Jazz informant. Okay, that's cool.
Your top secret Jazz informant.
Okay.
Okay.
Tanner Plummer says, what do the Nets see in Buckets so miss that they gave up a first-round pick for him? I think they needed perimeter defense.
Yeah.
And Royce is a capable perimeter defender.
I mean, that was one of their biggest weaknesses. Defense was a problem for them.
Yeah,
so.
Casey Finlinson, Buckets for a first round. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Brendan W says, trade Rudy for Tim Tebow.
Wow.
I wonder how Tim Tebow's jump shot is.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a little better than a spiral, Hopefully it's a little better than his blocking technique at tight end.
Yeah. Brett Robbins says, Tanner, I believe they did that before Kyrie and Durant requested to bounce. Well, first I would say Kyrie requested to bounce weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Durant and Joe Tsai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, have been talking for weeks. So, I mean, as soon as the Kyrie thing happened, I think there's no doubt that Kevin and Joe Tsai started talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So unlike the USC UCLA situation, this was not some shocking move for Joe Tsai. I mean, and we'll talk about KD coming up because I think there's a huge amount in that. Jesus Christ Destroys Atheism says Dallas signed JaVale McGee to a 3-year deal and Jalen Brunson signed with New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the ticker update. Robert Stewart says, too bad you don't understand how the luxury tax works. How do we not understand how the luxury tax works? But okay. Hope you guys give away an NBA 2K23, maybe. John Mulvaney says, Royce is a solid player, a net loss, but the Jazz had defensive issues with 4 of their top 6 players between 6 and 6'4" in height. Conley, Mitchell, Clarkson, and O'Neal. I don't think it has anything to do with size. I think it has to do with schematic and athletic ability.
Yeah.
I just think the Jazz last year were not set up. I just don't think they were set up to succeed.
I mean, you can play defense with an undersized roster, but you'd have to be locked in as a team, you know?
The biggest issue is you can have one guy who can't defend.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have 3-4 guys who can't defend. And one guy who's elite at it. Like that's just not something that would work. Josh Levern, good morning, Coach. He says, wouldn't KD have to sign off on any trade? No, he wouldn't. I mean, he went to Joe Tsai and the Nets and said, trade me. Here are the teams I'd like to go to.
Yeah.
But then Bobby Marks and the Nets have made it very clear we're going to do or Sean Marks, and the Nets have made it very clear they're going to do what they have to do to get return for Kevin Durant. I mean, obviously, if you are the worst team in the NBA, if you're Kevin Durant's not going to Sacramento.
Yeah.
I mean,
probably not going to Orlando.
He's probably not going to Orlando. Like, he's not going to OKC. I mean, Kevin Durant knows he's in control. So, I don't know. Would they trade him without his consent? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
I mean, I think it's them working with the teams that he wants to go to. That's why he provided a list. He said, hey, these are the teams that I would really like to go to, work it out, And so he's not saying, hey, just the Suns, or just this team. That's why you give a list.
Tanner Plummer says Royce is a capable premier defender. No, I said he's a capable perimeter defender. Monty, what are you smoking? Royce was and still is a terrible perimeter defender.
Hey,
I don't think he is. I don't think he's a terrible perimeter defender. I think he's a guy that's agile. He's got good athletic ability, and instinctually, he's a very good defender. I think, and my belief is that Donovan Mitchell falls into the same conversation, and that is that they're capable. The issue is, I think systematically, it was very easy to feed everything into the paint for Rudy Gobert, and I think when you do that, and I think when that's the way that you choose to run your defense, you're going to have the struggles that the Jazz had.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's just my opinion, I think that Royce O'Neal is a guy that you can put on the floor and he's not going to be a sieve, but he's not, what Royce O'Neal is not is a lockdown defender who is going to shut down the other team's best player. That's not who Royce is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can compete. He's not going to shut down the other team's best player. I mean, that guy for the Jazz was Daniel House, who, by the way, heard it first on my Twitter, you pricks.
Yeah.
Signed with the Sixers on a multi-year deal. And you knew it was going to be difficult to keep him. And I think you have all the dominoes in place if you're the Utah Jazz that you're setting up to make a bigger deal. So, I don't think that Royce O'Neal was a terrible perimeter defender. I just don't think he was the lock that everybody says he is. I really don't. That's just my opinion. Erich Tavera says Royce is not a great defender, but he is known as a perimeter defender, which Bucks bought the idea. The Nets bought the idea. A player worth depends on the team. Yeah, you're only worth what somebody's willing to pay for you.
Yeah.
That's it. Jeremy Bolton says, sup. Hi, Buckets, slow-mo.
Buckets, slow-mo.
Okay. Swishzone says, imagine Harden traded for KD. Yeah, seriously. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, well, and I think the Ben Simmons situation is really fascinating too, with everything that's happened now and everything that he's gone through. Now to have this whole thing kind of burned down, it'll be really interesting to see like whether he is a Brooklyn Net when the season starts, or whether they trade him, or whatever may happen with with Ben Simmons, because this is a guy that can still play at a high level. I think everybody agrees on that, but I think what we also agree on is that he works within a certain sect of rules as far as your roster is concerned, meaning that the other 4 guys on the floor need to be really good at scoring for Ben Simmons to be able to be a lethal player. So with the Brooklyn setup, he would have been in a perfect situation. But with Kevin Durant's trade, it begs the question, is Ben Simmons involved in those talks? Is, as a trade chip? And I got to think that he is. I don't know, like if you're another team, why you wouldn't be asking about it, because clearly Brooklyn from day one this offseason has said that they're more than willing to part ways with both of these guys and start over. So to me, nobody is off the list as far as trades are concerned, and I just think that Ben could definitely be a part of one of these deals, no doubt.
Yeah, I think, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see exactly how all that works out, because I think when you're talking about Kevin Durant, and I think when you're looking at the way that Kevin Durant changed the game yesterday, and you look at the impact that this Kevin Durant situation is going to have on the NBA, I think Ben Simmons is a key figure in this Kevin Durant situation. Not to be the master of the obvious, but I think when you see that Kevin Durant, wants a deal with Phoenix, for instance, well, one, they just signed Devin to a max extension. He can't be traded for a year. But two, they already have a rookie max extension in Ben Simmons on that roster, and you can only have one of those players on your roster at a time. So it's very difficult for the Nets to make trades with teams like Phoenix because Devin's on that deal, Donovan's on his deal. Like, it just, you start to understand that you have some limitations when it comes to trading Kevin Durant. The other thing is, one of the things about the Miami Heat is that I don't think the Miami Heat have a package of players that's interesting to the Nets. I also say this about the Jazz. Like, when you look at the question of will the Utah Jazz trade Donovan Mitchell, well, the news that we heard yesterday and what sources were telling us yesterday is the Heat have been calling the Jazz for several days. It's been over a week now. That the Heat have been asking about Donovan Mitchell. This wasn't something that just popped off yesterday with the Heat. If you follow me on Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, that I was tweeting 3 days ago about, hey, it's the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Heat that are inquiring about Donovan Mitchell. But what do the Heat really have to offer that the Jazz would want? Because I don't see a scenario for the Miami Heat where they are going to flip Jimmy Butler for Donovan Mitchell. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense that you're going to trade a Kyle Lowry for Donovan Mitchell. How does that help the Jazz in any form or fashion? Even a player like Tyler Hero, he doesn't step in and replace what Don gives you. And if you assume that the Utah Jazz are not going to trade both Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell in the same offseason, if you trade Don to the Miami Heat and they give you Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson in return, okay, well, what are you going to do to score the basketball? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't see a lot of value on that Miami Heat roster. And again, I think that's why all these big name trades, not signings, trades, have to be multi-team deals, because especially for a team like the Nets that have a massive investment in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons, you've got to find multiple picks in return. And you have got to find a way not to pay $100 million in luxury tax and not advance in the NBA playoffs, which is exactly what the Brooklyn Nets are doing.
Yeah.
And so when I look at where Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz are, I still maintain, and what I was told yesterday is, if the Jazz are going to trade Donovan, he's going to have to ask for a trade. He is going to have to go to the Jazz and say, I want to be traded. And if it's to the Heat, he's going to have to say, hey, I'd like to be traded to the Heat. But the Jazz are not open for business on Donovan Mitchell. They have repeatedly told the Knicks, who, by some estimations, the Knicks have called the Jazz over half a dozen times asking about Donovan Mitchell. I just don't think that there's much to be had there. And a lot of people are asking, well, the Miami Heat sent a trade offer to the Jazz. Well, that's not how it was explained to me by sources at the Utah Jazz. I was told that the Heat have repeatedly called and asked what it would take. And the Jazz have said there's nothing that it would take. We're not open for business on Donovan Mitchell. And that Don, again, would have to ask to be traded. So I don't believe that the Jazz are out there shopping Donovan Mitchell. I don't believe the Jazz are out there having conversations about trade packages for Donovan Mitchell. I think that's exactly the opposite of what's happening on Rudy Gobert. I think that Rudy Gobert is a guy that they are out there talking about. I think still to this day, I maintain the Toronto Raptors, as we've talked about all the way back to the trade deadline, the Toronto Raptors are the most likely destination for Rudy Gobert. They have the most value in return. But again, to make a trade like Rudy Gobert, I think it's got to be a 3-team deal because you have to get multiple first-round picks in return. And as we're seeing, there are very few teams in the NBA that have that kind of package to offer the Utah Jazz in return for a guy like Rudy Gobert. And the issue then becomes, what are you willing to take in return for Rudy? And I say it's at least 2 first-round picks and at least 2 star players. That means this is a 3-team deal. So when you start doing the math on this stuff and then you throw a trade in with a guy like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons and everything it's going to take, the logistics it's going to take to get that deal done, I think this Kevin Durant situation has really slowed down things like the Rudy Gobert trade. Because if I'm the Atlanta Hawks, if I'm the Chicago Bulls, if I'm the Toronto Raptors, 3 teams that have been very interested in Rudy Gobert, I'm interested in Kevin Durant. And the rest of the league is interested in Kevin Durant. And by the way, don't be at all surprised if the Utah Jazz wind up being a 3rd or 4th team in a Kevin Durant trade, where they end up with assets in return and they wind up moving a guy like a Bojan Bogdanovic, like the Heat are said to be very interested in Kevin Durant. I could see a scenario where Bojan Bogdanovic winds up going out. The guy's making a good amount of money, $18 million or $19.3 million, I believe his number is. You can see a scenario where Bojan Bogdanovic winds up going out in that trade. I think it makes a heck of a lot of sense, Jake. So I just think now it becomes a process, and you're kind of playing a waiting game.
Yeah, well, and how many times is a guy like Kevin Durant going to be available in the league? And that's what I think is really what needs to be understood. I mean, Kevin Durant is, by most people's estimations, the best player in the NBA right now. So the fact that he's available basically is a hard stop for everyone in the league. All right, this totally changes the dynamic in the offseason, and you can't tell me that teams weren't preparing for this. You can't tell me that teams on some level weren't ready for this. So that's why I say, that's why I say don't be at all surprised about, hey, things are going to slow down a minute while Kevin Durant's deal gets sorted out. And then once that happens, then guys like Danny Ainge around the league can look around the league and say, okay, what's left in the wake of the Kevin Durant situation? What does Brooklyn have? What do the other teams have? What can we do? That's why there's a waiting period right now.
Yeah, I just think it's very interesting with all the moves that Jazz made yesterday, with all of the decisions that Jazz made yesterday. I feel like yesterday was a very good day to get yourself under the luxury tax line. I think is huge. To be under the luxury tax on day one of the NBA league year is massive. I mean, it just gives you so much more flexibility. And I think when you look at the handful of teams that are paying the luxury tax, you can't be a repeat offender because it just costs you so much more money to be a repeat offender. The hard cap looming over your head for sign-in trades, the exceptions that you wind up getting forced into using, and
it changes the way you operate, man.
Being under the luxury tax on day one of the league year it's huge. It was a big win for the Utah Jazz yesterday. I think it was a great day. All right, let's get some of your comments in here. We really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I know that we have a lot of new listeners to the show. Aaliyah and Kel says, what about Ben Simmons alongside Donnie as a big point guard that can defend? I think that works. I mean, I think I've long been somebody who believes that Ben Simmons has far more use than we saw in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. I think as a player out in open space, Ben Simmons is a lethal weapon. He's a guy that can run the floor, and we've seen this here at Vivint Arena where, he's dunking on Rudy, and he's getting to the basket routinely, and Ben Simmons is a handful when he's running downhill on the break. He's a handful when he's attacking the basket. The other thing not a lot of people talk about Ben Simmons, he's a great drive and kick player. The one thing that he does not do is shoot the ball well.
Yeah.
And I think that the mental collapse that he had in that playoff moment in Philly, that's my biggest question. I don't worry about the back injury. I don't worry about his lack of ability to shoot the ball. I worry about Ben Simmons' mental health on two fronts. One, he's a human being. He was clearly tortured by what happened to him in Philly. And at the end, how the Philly situation impacted his mental health. I maintain we do not do enough in this country to help people who battle depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder type ailments. And Ben Simmons very clearly has had dark days. I want to make sure that he's healthy off the floor. There's a lot of me that just doesn't care if he plays basketball again. But from a basketball perspective, Ben Simmons is an elite defender. Ben Simmons is a guy that you can put on Kevin Durant and say, limit him. And Ben Simmons will do that job. Ben Simmons is a guy that you can put at the elbow and say, attack the basket. Ben Simmons is a guy that you can design a play with 7 seconds to go and say, hey, get the ball to Ben Simmons, be in the corner. He's going to drive and kick to you in the corner because he's so good at finishing. The team will collapse on him and you'll be open for a three.
Yeah.
I would love Ben Simmons in this offense. The issue is he's making a hell of a lot of money. And I don't see how, unless you offload Rudy Gobert's contract, that you're able to go and get him. But you know what, Aaliyah and Kel? I actually absolutely agree with you that Ben Simmons is a good fit on this team. He is the kind of player that you need. I wish he could shoot. And he's young enough that you would think that he can develop that. I would have no problem with Ben Simmons on this team, Jake.
Yeah, and I you know, the only thing that we're different on, the only thing I disagree there with is the development of the shot. Like, we've seen him trying to develop it, but his motion with it is just so awkward. It's just unnatural the way you know, he goes about shooting a basketball. And so I think, you know, to sign him with the expectation, if a team were to do that, I just think it's silly to sign him with the expectation that someday he'll develop. I just don't think any team would ever do that. I think you just have to sign him with the expectation that he's a transition player who can play really good defense and can support the scores you already have on your team. That's what I think he's good at.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. JW says reports out stating Ingles now with the Bucks, House with the Sixers. Well, they're not reports. Those contracts are done.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles is a Milwaukee Buck, and Daniel House is on a 3-year deal in Philadelphia. Daniel House got paid by the Jazz. He rehabbed his image. He rehabbed his belief around the league, his perception, and your value is what people perceive you to be. And Daniel House, no doubt, made money, being a Utah Jazz man. Scott Williams says, I hope Ben Simmons is not watching this show and you're saying he has mental illness. Ben Simmons has said he is dealing with a mental illness.
I mean, it's not some secret, man.
What are we talking about? Tanner Plummer says, side note, Zion Williamson just got a max extension. The extension goes till 2028. Personally, I think the Pelicans made a mistake here. I don't think they had any choice. I was reading the Shams tweet. New Orleans Pelicans star Zion Williamson nearing a 5-year rookie max with $231 million. The commitment will take Williamson's new deal through 27-28, according to Shams. I don't know that the Pelicans had another option because I think the thing that we've seen is that Zion Williamson is now in elite shape. I mean, he is in excellent condition by all accounts. The video that, we've seen of him playing ball without his shirt on, he is trim. He looks like an NBA basketball player now. So he's got to stay healthy, though. The ankles, the knees, like the repeated issues with his lower body have got to stop. And he's a guy who's not always been dedicated. And the question now becomes, hey, Zion, what's your brand? Because you're not selling that many shoes for Nike. You're somebody that's been accused of being unprofessional and out of shape. Well, now we just handed you over $200 million. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
And what are you going to be on the floor? And my question is Zion Williamson dedicated to being one of the best players of his generation? Because if he is, it's over. This money is cheap. This is a discount if Zion Williamson's going to apply himself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you can say that. He's got to stop talking he's got to get his ass out on the floor and do the job.
Yeah, and my biggest issue with the Zion situation is, once again, he's another guy that can't shoot the basketball. Like, I mean, he has a better shot than, Giannis per se.
But he's improving.
I mean, he may be improving, but he's not. I would not have paid Zion Williamson. I don't think he's worth the money.
I would have traded him.
I don't think he's earned
traded
it.
him.
That's my biggest problem. I don't think he's earned it, and you've changed this roster enough where you don't need him now.
Well, he certainly has not earned it.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that. He just hasn't played enough to earn
Yeah.
it. But the problem is you're very close to being a contender in the West. Like, the New Orleans Pelicans are a team that should be, I would guess if he's healthy all season, which who knows, but let's go best case scenario. The New Orleans Pelicans could be a top 6 team in the West.
Yeah, like 4th or 5th is what I would.
I mean, they could be a top 6 team. And
Yeah.
if you're, and let's say top 5, you could have home court advantage in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant. That building, the lollipop, milkshake, whatever it is, Frosty Freeze Your Mom.
Just so you can go to Pound Town
Center. Sorry, I'm being a jerk about that. But the home court advantage in New Orleans is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So for my money, I think that if he's plugged in, this is a very good deal for them. This is a very good deal. Knicks for Life says, what's the value of Zion's max? $231 million.
Bro.
That's a lot of scratch, bro.
Come
Jake
on.
R., good morning to you. Ben Simmons comes to Utah and the whole state starts chanting Rookie of the Year every time Donnie touches the ball. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Williamson said after the season, according to Shams, Zion Williamson said, quote, I couldn't sign it fast enough. Well, he didn't wait very long. He didn't wait very long. By the way, also, Gary Payton II, GP2.
Yeah.
Is going to be a Portland Trailblazer on a 3-year, $28 million deal. I think we heard rumors of that yesterday.
Yeah.
That comes to fruition. Erich Tavera, Utah scenario with Gobert contract and team structure is sad, but 2 teams far worse in Portland and Pelicans. Dame will have to pick either be loyal or get a ring. Not happening in Portland. Well, the funny thing is about that, Erich, anybody remember that Dame tweeted out a graphic of him and Kevin Durant in Portland Trailblazer uniform?
Yes, he did. Yes, he
Just
did.
saying.
Yes,
Like,
he did.
And then there's
Infowars.com.
yeah, stranger things have happened,
Seriously,
right?
man.
But I mean, Brian Windhorst on ESPN yesterday is talking about how the Lakers could be a serious contender to pick up both Kyrie and KD.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at all these rumors.
Yes.
Who knows where he's going to go?
And that's why I say you can't.
I don't know where he's
You're not
going.
going to be operating right now. You have to wait until the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn Nets saga ends so that you know what you're working with. That's the whole point here, is that you can't make deals unless you know what teams have to offer.
Yeah. Giggity says, Ben, my neck, my back, my neck, my back, Simmons.
You are what you are.
Yeah. Seriously, Tony. I mean, you are what you are, man. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to deal with if you're Ben Simmons. I mean, he has got a lot of proving to do. I would assume
he does.
For somebody that has openly talked about, dealing with panic attacks and anxiety and depression, like the pressure must be immense on Ben Simmons. Like, I have a lot of empathy for that. That is, I am fortunate that I have not dealt with depression very much in my life. I have not, knock on wood, I've not had to deal with mental health issues. I know so many people in my sphere that have, and it's crippling at times. It is absolutely crippling.
Well, and I think everybody's, cut differently. We're all made differently. And I think that, it's funny. We're sitting here talking about Kevin Durant. Obviously, he's the center of the basketball world right now. He's well known. He's notorious for being soft emotionally about like Twitter and having thin skin and people hating on him. And I just think that the Twitter is a cesspool of haters. Like, let's be really clear on that.
Yes.
But at the same time, I
Absolutely.
think when you're an NBA player, you know what you're signing up for.
Well,
and that's the tough part.
It's funny. Mrs. Monty used leather straps to put me on the couch the other night.
Whoa.
Whoa. And she forced me to watch the David Letterman Netflix show, which I love. She didn't force me. It's a great program.
What is it? I don't have to introduce my next guest or whatever?
Yeah, introducing my next guest or whatever it's called.
She said
Mrs. Monty would
now
like
we're
to
gonna
correct
get
that.
an early contribution
Yes,
here.
go ahead.
My next guest needs no introduction.
Same
Same
thing.
fucking
Who's
thing.
counting?
Are you kidding
Come
me?
on.
Anyway.
Come on.
He had Kevin Durant on his show this season, and it was a Brooklyn Nets love affair.
Yeah.
And it was a really good interview listening to Kevin Durant talk about it. I mean, it just was you know what? And I know that this is not probably going to be the most popular sentiment today. Yeah. But again, I just would tell you that guys like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic, they run this league.
Yeah. Devin
Booker and Nikola Jokic, Karl-Anthony Towns, they're going to make $50 million a year. Every year. They're going to make $50 million at least.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton of money. But when we talk about Kevin Durant is, I think, arguably the best basketball player in the world right now. And he's earned the money he's making.
Yeah.
And he's earned the right to say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this anymore in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I want out of Brooklyn.
Well, and I think a lot of people are sort of sticking that to him a little bit too. Like, hey, are you surprised that you wasted 3 years of your career in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving? Are you surprised that Kyrie Irving is behaving in the manner that he is? Are you surprised that a guy who would not get the thing that we're not allowed to talk about because YouTube will take our video down? Are you surprised that Kyrie wouldn't get that at that time when it was going on in the world? Are you surprised that Kyrie Irving acted selfishly when he's always been known as a selfish player? That's what I think people are a little bit surprised about with Kevin Durant. And what I would say to Kevin Durant is, hey, man, your prime is coming to an end. Like, you have probably, 3, maybe 4 seasons left at this level. Like, you need to do your winning, man. You need to get to a place that is not the Golden State Warriors, and you need to win a championship. You need to write your legacy, because right now, and I'm going to keep saying this till I'm blue in the face, and I'm a Kevin Durant guy, have been since he was at Texas. Like, Kevin Durant is known as a ring chaser. He has not won a title on his own, in his own build, like with his own team. Steph has done it. Bron has done it. Like, all the other guys have done it. But Kevin Durant hasn't done that yet, and he needs to get that done. And that's why I say it's time to get moving if you're Kevin Durant.
Yeah, one team. Where does Kevin Durant play next season?
Phoenix. I think he wants to go to Phoenix. The problem is that I don't think I know Phoenix came out and said they're not going to acquire Kevin without Book. So, I think it's tough.
And again, I want to clarify these rules. Devin Booker cannot be traded to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
They already have a rookie max extension on their roster, which is why when we talk about, by the way, all this Ben Simmons stuff, we were being theoretical. Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell couldn't be on the same roster.
Right.
Because they both are on rookie max extensions.
Damn rules.
But if you are the Phoenix Suns, what they essentially said yesterday is we're not trading Devin Booker in order to have Kevin Durant on the roster. So in a 3-team scenario, they're not going to send Devin Booker to the Lakers so Kevin Durant can be a Sun. They're not going to do that. And I think that's exactly right. And now, by the way, with his Supermax he signed, he can't be traded for a calendar year. Mm-hmm. So Devin Booker is going to play for the Suns this year.
I mean, if you're the Suns, let's say that even if they could trade Devin Booker, would you trade Book head up for Kevin?
Not. Absolutely not. I would not. I think Kevin Durant, and if we're truth-telling on Kevin Durant, and our thing on this show is we're the truth in Salt Lake Sports Talk.
Yeah.
The truth about Kevin Durant is you can't count on him. You cannot count on him committing to long-term. Whether you are the Golden State Warriors or the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving screwed the Brooklyn Nets. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Those two said, we want to play together and we want to do that in your building. And Kyrie Irving has been nothing short of an abject failure as a Brooklyn Net. Mm-hmm. Nothing short of it. Mm-hmm. And the real issue is that Kevin Durant pulled the ripcord here. Fast. And he and Kyrie Irving are very close friends. So they screwed the Brooklyn Nets. You cannot count on Kevin Durant. This whole thing where he ring chased, I don't have a problem with that. This whole thing where he demands a trade, I have a problem with that. You committed to playing for the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets went out and did everything you told them to do. It was an abject failure, and now you're saying you want to leave. I would not trade Devin Booker, one of the brightest young stars in this league, for Kevin Durant because I can't count on Kevin Durant. It's not that Kevin's not an elite player. I think he's the best player in the world. That's my opinion. But I can't count on him to be here. And that's my single biggest issue with Kevin Durant. His talent is unquestioned. We had a big debate this week on the show of would I add Kyrie Irving on my team? I would. not at the expense of a Devin Booker or a Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Because I can't count on Kyrie Irving to be the guy. Why is Kyrie Irving trying so hard to force his way back to L.A.? Because he doesn't have to be the guy in L.A., right? This whole thing imploded because Kyrie Irving wouldn't get the shot that we can't talk about on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused resentment in that locker room. And by some accounts, that's why James Harden's no longer in Brooklyn. And you can say a lot of things about James Harden. He played on one leg in the playoffs. He tried his level best to make it work in Brooklyn, and it just didn't work. Now, is his reputation intact? No, certainly not. But what did James Harden do? James Harden opted out of his deal to give Philly flexibility. And in my mind, what Kyrie Irving did is trash. Like opting in and saying, okay, we'll see you in the fall. Like, screw you, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Mr. fucking vaccination genius, scientific expert, you fucking
that's the
asshole.
truth.
It's what he is.
I mean, that's the truth.
It's what he is.
My point in all of this is a players' league. But when you ask me if I would trade Kevin Durant for my best young player, no, I would not. Because I don't know that Kevin Durant will be there in 2 years.
It's a great point.
That's the biggest issue. And a guy like Devin Booker, in my mind, again, for those of you that are new to the show, I'm a huge Devin Booker fan. I'm a big believer. My basketball philosophy is, hey, I'm a fan of players, not teams.
Right.
I grew up in Chicago. I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. But my guy's Devin Booker. I think he's one of the best young players in basketball. I love watching him play.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trade him for Kevin Durant. I don't know what it would take for me to trade Devin Booker. I really don't. I that's why I value Don so much. I don't know what it would take for me to trade Donovan Mitchell. I honestly do not. I have no idea what that would take.
Yeah.
All right, Aaliyah and Kel sent me $4.99 on YouTube.
Thank you.
Where's the other penny? Where's the other penny?
It's probably going to Kevin Durant's new contract.
That's a good point. Sending you guys a free agency bag. Discover you guys last week and here live for the first time. Much love. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate that so much.
And I do appreciate the tip. I'm kidding with you. But thank you so much for the tip. You know, if you don't know how this works, there's a little $sign at the bottom of the screen. You can always send us tips. It means your comment gets read first and put on the screen. And as soon as you do that, we always leave that for you. So we appreciate that. Knicks for Life says, Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player in the league. He leads his team to rings. Wish he could stay healthy. Yeah. I mean, the Joe
Does
Ingles,
he even play basketball anymore? I'm not sure because I haven't seen any Kawhi Leonard on a basketball court in 2 years.
Well, he's playing 1-on-1 and 4-on-4 pickup. So,
Wow.
And by all accounts, he could have played in the playoffs, but they didn't want to risk
here's
it.
the difference, and I think this is a really important difference. Kawhi's done his winning. Like,
Yes.
the Raptors ring solidified Kawhi as a complete savage.
But
Like,
be honest about it. It's one of the greatest shots in the history
ever,
of the NBA.
ever, dude.
That shot over Joel Embiid in
Ever.
the corner for Toronto
Yes.
that hit the rim 5 times
yes,
was
dude.
amazing.
Ever. I mean,
mean-
that's it. Just he had his moment, and I just don't think that you can replicate that. Like, that's why I say for Kevin Durant right now, you have to correct your legacy here. And I don't know that he cares about that, to be quite honest, like as much as maybe some of us do.
I think that's a huge question.
You know,
I
does
think
he
that's a
even
huge
care?
question.
I don't know. I don't think it makes him a bad person if he doesn't.
I if you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you probably saw that I put the picture of the New York Post up from this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And they're crushing him today.
Yeah.
And the thing that I say about that is Kevin Durant doesn't care what you think.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment in this life that you start acting on your passion and you start making decisions based on what you think is best and not based on what other people think, you're going to live a much happier, freer, more confident, successful existence.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant is doing that, and I think it's great. Alex Chacon, good morning to you. Wouldn't teaming KD and Book together be the point of the Suns trading for KD? You would think so, but the other question is, what are the Phoenix Suns capable of, willing to give up? Well, you know what I think they're willing to give up? I think they're willing to give up Mikal Bridges. I think they're willing to give up Cam Johnson. I think I was told yesterday point blank that the Nets have no interest in DeAndre Ayton. And by the way, that'd be a sign-in trade, and what would that do? Well, that'd hard cap the Nets. So I don't think that that's even an option.
Yeah.
My feeling is that it's going to take 4 first-round picks, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and another player
Dude.
to get that done. And I think that's a lot to give up, but if I'm the Suns, I would do that.
And by the way, if you're the Suns, this group of guys has already shown you they can't win a championship. I mean, they've been there and they failed. Now it was their first one, so you got to. I mean, there's definitely some of that, but I just think that you can't. You just can't say no to the opportunity to have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul on the same team.
Yeah,
you just can't. That's not. You just won't do that.
Yep. Big Mac says beat a broken Warriors super team. Well, certainly. That's so flawed, though. I mean, I don't know. I think when you look at the history of that Warriors team, Kawhi Leonard beat a, but it doesn't matter that the Lakers won in the bubble. They won in the bubble. They're NBA champions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can go back and revise history like that. I think that's tough. Tanner says, should we add Luka and Jokic be added to the team, Jeremy? I must have missed what he said. Jeremy Bolton says, besides Zion and Harden, who else we adding to the first team all NBA fat team? CJ Miles? CJ tends to run thick. I don't think you add Jokic. I certainly don't. I mean, Jokic is in really good shape.
Jokic is dad bod, dude.
Yeah, but he's in good shape.
He's not fat, but he's also not ripped.
Yeah,
he's in plenty fine shape to do what he needs to do. Clearly.
Yeah, I don't know who else the other big
all,
bodies.
All NBA first team fat ass is gonna be Zion, Luka.
But Bobby Portis has that.
Bobby Portis
had that rear end, trailer hitch and stuff. 18-wheeler Okay, let's move on. Erich Tavares says Kawhi has done the dream team, has done the dream of every clutch. 3-2-1 clock fade away 3 versus best player. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
dude.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For the win.
Yes,
how many times have we done that at Mazda Fitness? Are you kidding me?
I mean, every kid in their driveway does that. Come on.
Jeremy says, they're close for sure. Jokic definitely would have been 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, then he went through the body transformation.
Yeah.
CJ Miles was skinny fat, John Mulvaney, that's the nice thing about Rudy and Mitchell. They both are pretty durable. Ooh, I don't know. Is Don durable? He misses a lot of time, and even when he doesn't miss time, he plays injured often.
Yes, he does.
With the ankle, and Rudy's had knee issues, and I think Rudy's been pretty durable.
Yeah, he has.
He's played a lot of ball, dude.
Except the games that matter most against Dallas. So
Well, that was a statement game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he set out to prove a point.
Yeah.
But I don't love that guys like Don are always playing injured.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. J-Dog Uploads says, shoes shake my day. Hey, man. Heat, fire,
Yeah, dude.
It is what it is. Josh Lovren says, KD was finals MVP for Golden State. I think that's a big omission in the general KD bashing. He was the best player on that team that year. Kevin Durant's the best player on pretty much every team he plays for.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's a lot of that, Coach. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think a lot of people forget that he was a very good player on a very good team.
And let's not forget, Draymond just came out and admitted they don't beat the Cavs that 1 year without him. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Alex Chacon says they got a first for Royce. Can Danny get the same for Conley? Boy, that'd be a miracle. That'd be a miracle.
That's
Brett
tough.
says no because his contract is too big, so they won't give a first for a $20 million player. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Tanner Plummer says, is dad bod the same as being fat, though? It is not. Not even close. Not even close.
Come on. All NBA first team fat ass is funny.
It is.
That's funny. That's right off. That's some of my best material.
Hulla Billy says Bruce Brown or T.J. Warren would be nice on this team. T.J. Warren's hurt too much.
Yeah.
He just can't play because he's never healthy.
Bruce Brown would be a nice contributor.
Bruce Brown would be a nice pickup for this team.
Yeah.
If you slide Bruce Brown into Royce's spot, I'm good.
Yeah, that's
I'm
cool.
good. I'm good, all right, make sure you give us a like. I see that there's almost 300 people on the show today. Please give us a thumbs up and a like. We really appreciate that. It helps the show grow. One Round Left sends us $2. What's up, my man? Good to see you. He says, I still believe a tank isn't necessary. Do you? The Utah Jazz should absolutely not be tanking, and they're not. And they're not. And I've had this exact conversation, One Round Left, with my Jazz guy. And he said very clearly, this team needs a roster reconstruction. That is very different than a tank.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're going to build around Don. And that's why I think, again, not to keep belaboring the Rudy Gobert trade point, Toronto makes a hell of a lot of sense. If you get OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr., and I know we've talked about that trade for months and months.
Yeah.
If you get Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby, That's a really good start to replacing what you lose in Rudy. You also would have money to go and add further depth. The thing when you talk about tanking is getting rid of everybody. They're not doing that. I really hope that there's a scenario where Bojan Bogdanovic can still be here. I don't think so because of that $19 million number, and he's going to be a free agent. I would love to see Bojan be on this team for one more year.
Yeah.
Because I think he brings everything he doesn't do with lateral movement and athleticism. He's a guy that wants to make the big three.
Bojan.
He didn't, but he's a guy that wants to.
Well, and I don't think, with all due respect to the Utah Jazz, they haven't exactly put him in the best position to do his basketballing. I mean, you're
agree.
talking about somebody who gets, one night he was getting like 15, 20 touches. Another night he's getting like 3 touches. So it's just not, it just wasn't the best situation for Bojan. But I have to agree with you. I think one more season and putting the right guys in conjunction with him could really yield some nice results.
Yep, totally agree. All right, $1 Birdman says nobody wants to stay and play in Utah. It's hard to argue with that when you see a lot of guys, being traded. But I think this group of guys loves being in Utah. I do. I think Donovan Mitchell, we need to stop this thing where Donovan Mitchell's demanding a trade.
Yeah.
Because I have been told repeatedly he has never demanded a trade. Never. And this situation with Miami, as I talked about, and again, I will just report the things that I was told yesterday, is that Miami has inquired about Donovan Mitchell. I am unaware that they have put a specific trade offer forward. Somebody sent me a tweet of something or somebody that said that they had, sent a trade package. That might well have been. The only team I know that sent a specific package is the New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even consider it. And the Jazz yesterday, again, told me that Miami, New York, and Philadelphia have called, and they have been aggressive about it. And the Utah Jazz have said Donovan Mitchell's not available. Yeah. We're not entertaining that conversation. And the only way that they would entertain that conversation if Donovan Mitchell came to the Utah Jazz and said, hey, I want to be traded. And he has not done that. So there is no reason to believe that Don will do that. And I think when we talk about whether or not guys want to be here and whether or not guys want to be in Utah, I think there's some truth to that, but I think it's largely overblown.
Right.
Every professional athlete that I know, and I know dozens that love it here, every professional athlete I know loves being in Utah. Whether that is guys like Kalani and Witt, okay, they played at Utah and BYU. Okay, great. Whether it's hockey players, whether it is NBA players, whether it is minor league baseball players trying to find their way to the Salt Lake Bees, guys love living here. It's not an issue of it's a bad place to live. The issue is that activism is a problem. And there's a lot of corners of the state of Utah that don't want to hear black men speak about political issues. They don't want to hear about critical race theory. They want to hear about you hitting game-winning three-pointers. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. And I think the shut-up-and-dribble culture is alive and well in Utah. And I think that's the larger issue. And for my money, I think until that's solved, I do think that's a talking point. Alex Chacon again says, I wish my fellow Jazz fans would stop trying to run Don out of town. Players like him don't grow on trees. It's exactly right. Well, I agree with that 100%. Aaliyah and Cal said, how much would the prime Kobe's, LeBrons, and Jordans make on max deals? Oh, my God.
Kobe would be $60 million plus.
Could you imagine? I mean, the whatever the highest available contract is, he'd be making it.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Jordan,
well,
I think
he did. In his day, he did.
Yeah, I think Michael Jordan's golden parachute was $30 million. His final year with the Bulls.
And in that time, that was your $50 million number. Yeah.
Nick Yak says, tanking before the season started, how the F stupid. Yeah, it is. It is really stupid.
And I just don't think they need to do it. Like, that's not the position the Utah Jazz are in. Again, you didn't bring Danny Ainge in just to tank. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Jeremy Bolton says, Aaliyah and Kel, you're stealing those questions from Tanner Plummer. Guys. Hey, guys. How much would Jeff Malone make in the modern NBA? If Greg Ostertag was on a max deal, what would that pay him? Go Cougs.
Wow.
What? Jordan Nelson says VW is worth a planned tank, in my opinion. Well, there's a lot of sense in that, but not for the Utah Jazz. Kyle Fire
Fire.
It's a horrible fit. He doesn't want to be there, and Utah fans don't want him. Who are you talking about, Kyle? Hullabilly says Kobe $81 million a year.
Dude, seriously.
Yeah, that's a value deal.
Yeah.
Neville 93, my guy. Where you been, Neville? Good to see you, bud. He says, who do you guys think the Utah Jazz are going to go for now that we have cap space? They're going to make a trade. And there was some thought that they almost had a deal done, and I think that got derailed by the Kevin Durant news.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I was not told, I am guessing that they were close on a Rudy Gobert deal yesterday. I think they were close.
Y'all feel me?
Because I had people from Toronto calling me saying, hey, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like and that happens on a pretty regular basis, frankly. I talk to a lot of people around the league, and you can kind of read the tea leaves, and I felt like the tea leaves were saying that the Jazz were close on a big one yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think the Kevin Durant news,
blew that up.
Yeah. John Mulvaney says John Stockton was a bargain, probably. Kyle Spire says, I'm talking about Donovan. And Kyle's other comment was, it's a horrible fit. He doesn't want to be there, and Utah fans don't want him. I completely disagree. Yeah. I think that there is a small vocal minority who would rather have Rudy over Don. And I actually don't agree that Don doesn't want to be here. I don't. I've talked to people close to him. I've talked to people at the Jazz. He has never said he doesn't want to be here. He has never said he doesn't like being here.
That's my point. That's what my point's always been. Notice that Don has never blatantly come out and either said it through his agent or said it directly himself that he doesn't want to be here, yet all we ever hear is, oh, Don doesn't want to be here. Like, stop speaking for the guy. When he doesn't want to be here, you'll know. Totally agree. Okay, please, if you're here watching the show and you haven't, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Just hit that like button below. Appreciate that. Let's move on and get into this USC and UCLA deal, because this is a big flipping deal. If you did not hear the news yesterday, amongst a day of incredible news in the sports world, USC and UCLA shocked the Pac-12 by announcing that they are leaving the conference in 2024 to join the Big Ten. And reports immediately surfaced that other schools and Pac-10 management, or Pac-12 management, had no idea this was coming, that this was absolutely covert, done under the radar. And you got to believe that, because I have never seen a situation in a major college football conference like this where teams like, I don't know, Texas and Oklahoma, the Big 12 knew they were leaving. And knew for a long time that they were leaving. I mean, hell, we reported back in 2013 or 2014, I guess it was, that Texas and USC were trying to form a super conference. This has been long in the works. The Pac-12 did this to themselves. But let's be real clear on something. The biggest culprits and the biggest institutions responsible for the failure of the Pac-12, it's USC and UCLA. Not because of what they did yesterday, but because for the last decade, you have been a joke on the football field. You have not been good. Since Reggie Bush stayed in the house for free and never had NIL money, and the scandal happened, and you said that they didn't win the championship that they won, and Pete Carroll left, USC has been an abject failure. You're firing coaches on runways. You're not winning games. You're not developing talent. Clay Helton's soft and a hell of a nice guy. Should have never been the guy at USC. USC has been bad at footballing for a decade. That's why this conference is failing. And you finally hire Lincoln Riley. You finally get back to having a huge dong and you're slapping it on the table. Yeah.
Now you leave for the Big Ten. The reason this conference is failing is because Chip Kelly's failed at UCLA. Holy Bob Toledo, UCLA's bad at football.
Yeah.
Holy Bob Toledo, UCLA and USC haven't won a thing in basketball, it feels like, in who knows how long. USC and UCLA are the reasons the Pac-12 is failing. Oregon's done its job, right? Utah certainly has done its job. Washington has done its job. Where's USC and UCLA been? The mighty LA schools, the Untouchables, the Trojans, fight on. You can't leave the conference and blame the conference. And don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that Larry Scott's not a shitbag who's a terrible commissioner and did irreparable harm to the Pac-12. He did. But USC and UCLA are far more of a reason that the Pac-12 is failing than Larry Scott is. Mm-hmm. And I'm tired of sitting here kowtowing to USC and UCLA, because they play in LA and it's the Rose Bowl and it's the Coliseum and Reggie Bush's mom and Matt Leinart in the hot tub with the hose.
That's every day.
Win a football game.
Yeah.
Win a football game of consequence. Win the conference. Go to the bowl playoff. Go to the bowl playoff series. Go to the college football playoff. Win some championships. Then go bang hose in the hot tub.
That's out of the window.
I feel better.
That was clutch. That was
I feel
impressive.
better.
That was truly impressive.
I feel much, much better.
But yeah, all jokes aside, I completely agree. I think that, we had a conversation, must have been a couple months ago on the show about how, USC was this great program, and if they can get Lincoln and if they can do these things that they're gonna be, again, back to their winning ways. And I've maintained for a minute that I just don't think USC has been particularly impressive in any way, shape, or form since those days that you were referencing. I just don't think it's been like nobody is scared of USC.
How many disappointing quarterbacks have come and gone at USC since Matt Leinart?
With all due respect to BYU, it shouldn't even be a conversation that BYU can compete with USC with everything that USC has to work with, and yet BYU is still competing with you. That's a problem.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I just, again, I feel for the rest of the teams in this conference because they relied on Kevin Durant. Oh, wait. I mean, they relied on US. See
Next question.
Anyway, the correlation. Because they relied on USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
And really more to the point, USC. And again, I look at Utah. This is a critical moment in time for the Utah Utes football program. And that's why your president and athletic director released a statement yesterday saying, hey, we're on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any other response than joining the Big 12.
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, the door's open. Like, if there was ever going to be a time, like, this is the time.
Yeah, I just don't see how you fix this if you're the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is dead.
Yeah.
It's over. You're not going to get a rights deal done. You're not going to get a TV deal done. The Big 12 is far more attractive.
Yeah.
You have a situation where the Pac-12 already has relationships with Fox. The Big 12 has relationships with Fox. You have properties now coming into the league like BYU that absolutely raise your level of visibility, that puts you on ESPN. You have a chance here if you're the Big 12 to replace Texas and Oklahoma. Does Oregon and Washington replace Texas and Oklahoma? Mm-hmm. Probably not. And frankly, Oregon and Washington have already applied, according to sources, to the Big Ten to try and get into the Big Ten, which is probably going to take a couple of weeks to happen.
Yeah.
I think if you have access to add at least two of these remaining teams, if you can get Utah, certainly. I look across the other corners of this conference. If you can get Utah and one other team, I would absolutely do that.
Well, what are we not saying? What we're not saying is that in the Big 12, if you can get Utah, the Utah-BYU situation would be absolutely fire for your conference.
If I can get, and best case scenario, and this is just my opinion, if I can get the Arizona schools, Arizona State and Arizona, if I can get Utah, and if I can get Oregon State, I'm doing that if I'm the Big 12. Because I automatically add, what do I add in that scenario? I add a game, and let's surmise that Washington and Oregon go to the Big Ten. Let's just surmise that Washington and Oregon go to the Big Ten. I add a heated rivalry in Arizona and ASU in the Territorial Cup. I add Oregon and Oregon State, which is a really good rivalry. I add Utah and BYU, which I think is still the best rivalry in college football. I am upping my profile. I am upping my viewership. I am upping my footprint. This puts me in a position where I can be the third biggest conference in college athletics behind the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't know why the Big 12 wouldn't do this. This is the perfect rebound, in my opinion, to add those schools to your portfolio and now go win some football games. Yeah, and now go compete for a national championship.
And the momentum is there. And that's why I say, like, when you have teams like USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten to play against teams like Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan, like, you have these big brands that now are playing in that conference. With the Pac-12 just purging teams, it seems like, the Big 12, like, the time is now. The iron is hot. Strike. Go and get it done, man.
Yeah. I just see opportunity knocking.
Yeah.
The
On
Big
so many
12,
levels.
the Big 12 and the Big 10 have a real opportunity. And listen, if I'm the Big 10, I'm trying to get Oregon, Washington, Washington State, and Oregon State. I'm trying to bring those rivalries into my conference. That gives me a footprint in the Pacific Northwest. That gives me a footprint in Southern California. It gives me a footprint throughout the middle of the country, obviously. And it gives me a footprint on the East Coast. And I think if you are the Big 10, that's probably the right play.
Mm-hmm.
Your schools are going to make $100 million each. I mean, there is nobody losing in that situation. And then if you're the Big 12, take those rivalries and bring them into your conference. If I'm the Big 12, I strike right now because you don't want to wait. If you're the Big 12, you don't want to wait for the Big 10 to go make a move.
Yeah.
I just don't think you do. This is, again, just like Kevin Durant. If I'm the Big 12, I'm calling Oregon and Washington and saying, come be my flagship schools right now.
By the way, if you're any of these schools in the Pac-12, whether you're looking at the Big 12 or the Big 10, whatever opportunity that you might like, what does this do to help your odds of getting into the college football playoff?
Man.
Because that's the other conversation here that I feel like isn't
I think
really,
it's huge.
Like, I don't feel like a lot of people nationally are talking about that. Everyone wants to talk about conference ramifications and TV deals and money. But what about if you're USC? What about if you're UCLA? Like, you got to get going here. You got to get to the college football playoff at some point.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, Ricky Rubio, former Jazzman, reaches an agreement with the Cleveland Cavaliers on a 3-year, $18 million deal. So Ricky Rubio back to Cleveland. Let's get some of your thoughts in here. Let's see. BB says, is that why Conley is still a Jazzman? Could be. Could be. The Kevin Durant trade kind of has everything on hold. Jeremy Bolton says, and if Utah wants to join the Big 12, they have to wait 10 years, and BYU gets to tell them their best option is to join the Mountain West. Well, don't think that's lost on people, Jeremy Bolton, because it is so interesting, the arrogance. And I think Utah fans would admit this. They have been incredibly arrogant, and we're your Pac-12 daddies. Your team down south. Go eat at Mo Betta's.
Sometimes I think I just say shit. Sample what comes out of my mouth.
This is Pac-12 country.
Right.
Well, now what?
I might have been overstating the case a little bit.
Congratulations on going to the Rose Bowl. Congratulations on the Pac-12 championship. All right, we'll see you guys in the Mountain East. Peace out, bro. Like, the irony is not lost.
Yes.
The arrogance, the messaging, the bullying, hey, this is Pac-12 country. Look at our billboard.
I'm the best there is.
Look at our billboard. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Nye guy says the Westminster College to Pac-12. Wait, they don't have a football team. They can join on rowing.
Rowing.
Cam Harrison says Ute fans were right. Number 10 is coming. The Pac-10, that is. Exactly. Sean Mirzinski says they've heard Washington was denied, not confirmed, though. I don't know. I think from what I saw yesterday from Pete Thamel, and I think SI had it too, Oregon and Washington have submitted applications to the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is going to reconvene and consider those. So it'll be interesting to see as we talk about USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. Tristan West says, where is the major pushback for this move? The entire country was in an uproar when Texas and Oklahoma left for the SEC. Totally. Hey, thank you. Lorenzo Miranda sends us $10 in a tip. Thank you,
Thanks.
Lorenzo.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Sean Mirzinski says, same with Oregon State. Honestly, Cal and Stanford should just get rid of their football teams. No, Stanford football is very good.
But see, like, they're one of the victims of the Pac-12. Like, they don't have USC branding. The last time that anyone gave a damn about Stanford was when Bryce Love was trying to get a Heisman Trophy.
Well, do you guys also understand how small Stanford is as a university? Like, Stanford is not a big school. Well, it is a very small institution of higher learning, legitimately. Cal is a different story. Cal should be better at everything they do, and they just aren't. But then again, that's the California education system at its finest. Lorenzo Miranda says, love the show. Never stop. Appreciate you, Lorenzo. Thank you. Tanner Plummer says, the BYU fan base is about to get even more arrogant after BYU joins the Big 12 1 year from today. Truth.
Well,
truth.
There
is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. Appreciate everybody being here this morning. Every morning, generally. And by the way, Big changes are coming to the show. Like there's a lot of
like Big 12 type changes,
No, more like Big 10 type changes.
Okay, got it.
$100 million changes.
Yes, okay.
If the equipment works.
Right.
So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We love talking NBA. We on this show, a lot of people ask us, what we talk about. We talk a lot of football. We talk a lot of NBA. We talk a lot of geriatric gynecology, like just things that you really care about.
Right.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Right.
I said geriatric gynecology and you didn't even blink.
Yeah, I know what time it is.
Hello?
What?
Nobody says nothing?
I got drops for you.
All right. Scammer Trolling says this is the greatest show ever. Hey, man, are you trolling me, bro?
Yeah, are you trolling or are you scamming?
Hullabilly says 230 live viewers. Nice.
Nice.
And we appreciate that. Tanner Plummer says big changes are coming to the show again, ?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You don't even know. We have not made, comparatively speaking, we have not made big changes.
We're going from Brooklyn to Phoenix, if you know what I mean.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to stay in one place for a long time, unlike some people's favorite player. Big changes coming. I'm guessing Kyle Gunther is joining, Scammer Trolling says.
Wow.
Oh, the Gunther stories are me. Somebody asked me about him the other day. I miss Kyle.
He's not a bad guy.
No, he's not a bad guy at all.
Yeah.
He's not. I have a lot of respect for Kyle. I did not enjoy my time working with him, and I respect him a lot.
Yeah.
But apparently I guess he's working at Salty Peaks, somebody told us. So,
okay.
Hey, that's
Get
cool.
your NAR shred on, bro.
Yeah, I don't have any. I'm telling you, 1320 KFan was one of the greatest radio stations that never was. I mean, that was a station that was on the verge of making $1 million. I don't know if I've told people this. A lot of people ask me why I left KFan, and people are like, "Oh, you quit."
No,
they offered us a contract extension, but they also told us, "Hey, by the way, we are thinking of flipping the format." And we were like, "Nah, that's fine."
Empty.
The opposite of full. My wife had a job offer in Phoenix, right? So, do we stay when we know that things are going to change at KFan, or do we move to Phoenix and give my wife an opportunity when she's moved for me like a ton?
We're out of here.
Right? Like,
and by the way, then we went and won an award in Phoenix on the radio. So,
yeah, that little Best of the Valley award,
So, that's just kind of what we do. But yeah, changes are coming. They will be good. You will enjoy them. We are going to have a lot of fun with them.
We are.
Just give us time.
We are. Let's see. Brett Robbins says big changes is Monty not wearing a plain black tee. I wear a black T-shirt every day. Every single day.
I love you guys, dude.
In there. Whoa, hey, that's
dude,
up. Whoa.
I love you guys.
Whoa, what happened here?
Whoa, we're turning things around now.
I go to put the camera on Mrs. Monty in the high-tech robotic
Biggest
camera.
kick in the balls you'll ever get.
Goes haywire.
Hey, there we are.
Hey, baby.
Hey, what do you know? Mrs. Monty is wearing a black T-shirt as well. I'm
wow,
sensing a theme.
we did not.
There is synergy here today.
Just admit we did not plan that. We did not plan that. Is that correct?
We did not plan.
Yeah,
we didn't plan to turn your microphone on.
There we go. Now they can hear you.
For F's sake, now they can hear you. There she is.
I try to stay calm and not curse.
Why do I make an effort? I don't even know.
Well, based on the way your hair looks today, you didn't make much of an effort. I'm kidding. I am totally kidding.
Anyways, any day that I put on a black T-shirt, I'm almost guaranteed to match with these two.
Listen. Mark Zuckerberg made $1 billion wearing a shitty blue T-shirt. How come I can't rock the black?
Yeah.
It's slimming, and stuff. And, it is what it is. I either wear a black T-shirt or a black Callaway polo. That's my dress of choice. And I know you hate it.
I miss the polo, actually. Yeah, I do kind of miss the polo. But anyways, yeah, someday, maybe someday.
Yeah,
we'll venture outside the black.
No, we probably won't. If you could have me wear anything, what would you have me? Well, and you can't say nothing nude. This is a family
Cocaine
show.
and hookers, my friend.
Yeah. A Hawaiian shirt button up.
Some people just like to push
buttons. Yeah, Jake. Why do you do that, Jake? I mean,
I don't know, man. I
would love it if you tried different colors. Maybe expand.
The word she's looking for is diversify your shirt selection.
Yeah, I would. But it's cool. It's all good. It's your jam.
No.
Anyways, we were talking about something else.
Yeah, we were talking about 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. Is Utah still a good place to live? Because there was a new study put out, thanks to our friends at the church, KSL.com. KSL put out a study that talked about the fact that people polled say that the quality of life in Utah is plummeting.
Right.
And the main factors are overpopulation, a lack of affordable housing, and a significant uptick in shitty traffic in Salt Lake City. Mrs. Monty, is Salt Lake City still a good place to live?
It is still a good place to live, but we got to stop. Like, it is, we are getting to that kind of extreme overpopulation, and we're guilty of living in a place with high density housing. Like, I do think that at some point you have to stop. Our problems are going to be environmental. We absolutely can't sustain. We can't sustain our water.
There's not much hope for you left.
With the Salt
Probably
Lake
not.
drying up. It is going to be really bad with the amount of dust storms. And there's a lot of things, if you haven't been reading the articles, there's a lot of heavy metals and other chemicals in the dust from the lake. And every time that it stirs up and blows at us, it's going to be worse. So our population affects our water table. Our population affects our global warming, the warming within the valley. So
it's true, but
we have to slow down.
I think the population boom is a huge problem here. And there's a dude at the Brighton flea market. That what is his stuff? His brand is
Utah sucks. Don't move here.
Yeah.
You know who I am?
Yeah, Utah sucks. Don't move here. And you can find him on Instagram. Please support the guy. Buy T-shirts. Do whatever you got to do. Buy his brand, because he does really try to do good for our community. And I'm telling you, the issue is that Utah is not a well-kept secret anymore. No. And it's really unfortunate that it's impacting those of us that have been here and those of us that love this state. It is impossible to drive on South Jordan Parkway from 3 to 6:30, 7 o'clock. It's impossible to get around Bangor Highway during peak hours, even with the new construction, which has gotten better. But you can't drive the 15. You can't drive the 80. You can't drive the streets because traffic's terrible because there's so many people here now. And we all embrace Silicon Slopes and look at us. It's super cool. And now here we are. But the other thing is there's also complaints about diversity in education in this state and access to affordable education. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But what there's not is a lack of jobs, as you were just saying.
No.
There are plenty of good jobs here. And that's why I think
jobs.
people keep coming here.
And the issue is, again, I was reading about this on LinkedIn yesterday. Nationally, there are 3 jobs open for every 1 person looking for a job in this country.
Yeah.
In the state of Utah, it's 5 jobs are open for every 1 person looking for a job. 5 jobs are open.
Yeah, fuck one, marry one, kill one.
I don't know. And you look at what some of those jobs are, and this was in this thing on LinkedIn. Absolutely. There are industrial jobs open. There are FedEx drivers. There are cement jobs. There are construction jobs.
But I think people don't want those jobs. I think they want the work from home jobs.
But Amazon... The Amazon is trying to add another distro center here. They're on pause with that because they don't think they can hire it.
Yeah.
Here, Phoenix and Dallas, Texas, they're holding distribution centers because they don't think that they can hire the people to staff them.
Yeah.
And what the other thing is, we don't think about stuff like this. Like, think about the Amazon algorithm, which everybody's tried to figure out and nobody's been able to crack the code. But what we do know is the algorithm tells them on Amazon.com, like when you buy, what do I buy on Amazon? I buy like 1 bars, protein bars,
Rockstar.
Rockstar, and that's all in our affiliate links below, by the way. Shop our affiliate links. But when you buy that stuff and you go in there and you buy that, it sends a ping to the algorithm which says, oh, he's located here. There's a warehouse here that has that product.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't have somebody to ship that product. So what's happening? Oh, sorry, your order for 1 bars is delayed. Your order for Rockstar is delayed. Because we have been trying to figure out on Amazon, we drink this yellow can of Rockstar.
Rockstar Recovery.
Rockstar Recovery.
Yep.
Every time I order it on Amazon, it gives me a message that says, hey, your order is delayed. So I've been doing research on it, and it's not because they don't have the product. They don't have enough staff to deliver it, because Amazon's having trouble hiring the volume of people.
So then you go to Winco Foods and you get it at a discount and you don't buy it from Amazon. So they're paying the price too, no doubt.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Funny, this week we actually looked at our buying history at Amazon.com. And in the last 2 years, our buying history is astronomical compared to where we started. Like from 2009, that's the first time I ever ordered anything on Amazon.
They keep records that far back.
Oh,
and
you can.
It's super
Yes.
easy to look. It's super easy.
Wow.
Like you just click on your orders, and it'll show you can use it by drop down, like by year.
Yeah.
Super easy to see, right? First year, 4 orders. And then I think it was like 8 orders, and it was pretty low, like maybe 20 orders a year up until 2020, when we hit well over 100 and then well over 200. And this year we're on pace to be about 220.
And what are tell the fine people, and I want this in the comments as well, what are the main things that you order from Amazon? And if you look at our essentials list, you'll see what's on our essentials list in the description.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Monty, what are the main things we order on Amazon?
It's Rockstar. That's one of the largest items. And then it's our recurring stuff. So we have subscribe and save items. It's dog food, wet and dry dog food. It's
protein bars.
Protein bars is
Rockstar.
That's a regular.
Your hair
Rockstar.
product.
Monthly I get my hair product delivered from there.
Refrigerator filters.
Yeah, I have a subscribe and save for that. It'll deliver it every 6 months.
We just subscribed to Amino Energy, Optimum Nutrition's Amino Energy. Yep. So like those are the main things we buy. And so I'm curious from people watching the show. I'm sorry, what did you want to say?
Yeah, it's the regular like day-to-day stuff. There's the odd things. I mean, we do order things that are
new cameras and mixers and rocket
I did order
ships.
my computer off of Amazon because the price was exactly the same as the other outlets, and I could get it faster.
Yeah, and that's very true. All of our new equipment on this show, with the exception of this Rode Procaster 2, which we got at Guitar Center. Everything else, we got the cameras, this ATEM director board. We got that on Amazon. The HDMI cables, got it on Amazon. Let's see. Snooka says, I'm late, but good morning, everybody. Snooka! My dog's about to derail this show. Tanner says, your order is delayed. Uh-oh. Monty be like, can I speak to the manager, please?
I want better fucking execution.
I almost had a Karen moment at Chipotle yesterday. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I saved it. Brett Robin says, I'm the same. I straight buy everything from Amazon other than food. I use Instacart. A lot of people are using Instacart right now. Woo. Tanner says, the main things I order on Amazon is gifts for my wife and sports gear. Snookle says, I mainly get electronics. Totally agree.
Yeah.
We get a lot of electronics.
Yeah.
James Jensen says, Rudy Gobert will go down as all-time best center for the Utah Jazz.
Probably.
Greg Ostertag. That was a joke. I'm kidding. The Nye Guy says, I get my mane and tail shampoo from them. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Gabe Ledley says, subscribe and save on AC filters and a smoke detector battery for the win. Yes. Yes, Gabe. Absolutely. Strange Cloud says, what the F was going on with the sound at the start of the show? Shari just joined. Yeah, we had a little mixer issue today for whatever reason. The mixer didn't want a performance given task.
So we turned it off, turned it back on. And it works.
Works like a champ.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We did start the show over, by the way.
Yeah.
Pudge NYC says, salute, fellas. What's up, Pudge? Good to see you. Rec1 says, I get a bit of everything, but I have to stay. My best deal with Amazon was the time they offered 50% off warehouse products, which were already cheaper, which is the products they return. Things that are returned. We used to buy crates. We made good money on this. We used to buy crates from Amazon of stuff that consumers bought in return. Like we got all kinds. What's the vacuum? Our vacuum?
Roomba.
The Roomba.
Yeah.
Thank you. The Roomba vacuum. We got our Roomba vacuum on there. And we used to resell that stuff on eBay, and it worked like a charm. We make good money doing that. That's a little bit of a cottage industry as well. But overall, I think when we look at Amazon, I do think that Amazon is the predominant way that people buy stuff. I don't think there's any doubt that Amazon makes it more convenient. It just shows up on the front porch. They don't leave it at the back door. And one of the things I'll say, I trust Amazon more than I trust FedEx and UPS. I do.
Because Amazon drives smaller trucks that can get to more places.
and their job is to deliver it on time. Like, would you guys freak out if Amazon started drone dropping packages into our backyard?
California, it's an option.
It's an option to have your. I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, I don't have any trouble with it.
I don't think I'd have any trouble with it. I think, and I'm not even joking. My only concern would be, hey, did the drone accidentally leave the package on my roof? Like, I'm not joking.
Well,
like,
but they're laser-focused drones.
Well,
so it's actually
Yeah.
the drone technology. Uncle Jeffy Bezos has put a lot of money into drone technology, and these drones are actually incredible pieces of machinery.
Yeah.
They don't drop it on things. They drop it. You can actually, and I don't know, Mrs. Monty, you probably know more about this than I do, but from what I understand, you can actually select an area if you're eligible for it, you can select an area and tell it where to drop that package.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of requirements. You can't have dogs in your backyard. Like, they don't want
It
dogs
is better for the
attacking
environment, I would
drone.
think, right? I mean, droning versus, is that?
I would guess there's probably a limited impact. It's it's not widely available yet, but it's interesting. It's an interesting concept.
All right.
I don't
Let's
know.
switch gears and talk about the 4th of July before we wrap the show up, because what are we doing this weekend? Like, this is a 3-day weekend where we, celebrate our independence as a country, even though half the people in this country, probably 3/4, and especially if you have a vag, you're not free.
Wow.
Okay, I'll stop.
Wow. Wow.
Where we celebrate our freedom and independence. What are we doing this weekend? So the first thing that Mrs. Monty said to me last night in bed was, hey, you're hot, sexy man. Do you want to go and see Maverick?
Yeah.
Okay,
weekend?
stop calling it Maverick. It's Top Gun.
No, I call it Maverick.
Guy.
It is Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, but
know.
I'm not referring to this movie
You
as
stop
Maverick.
it.
Come on.
You stop that right now.
It's Top Gun.
Prick.
Do you refer to The Sopranos as Anthony?
No, because his name's Tony.
Come on. Come on.
name's Tony.
His therapist calls him Anthony.
Well, that's because they were awkward and they had sexual tension.
They did.
So,
Anyways,
but it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so we're gonna go see Maverick. I think that we'll probably find some hikes. We're gonna go have sushi tonight.
We are going to go out. Where are we going for sushi?
Tsunami.
Tsunami sushi. The Y. Where are you getting sushi? Getting sushi at the Y. I'm married. We don't have sex.
Wow.
But anyway,
Wow.
point is.
Wow.
What was that awkward?
Wow.
What happened?
Wow.
Sorry
Anyway.
you're offended by that.
I kid. What are we going to smoke this weekend?
I don't know.
Besides weed?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Wow. Wow.
I'm the guy who's never even smoked a
Yeah.
marijuana cigarette, bro. Smoked up, shrink your rope.
Oh boy.
It's very late.
Oh boy.
No, I think what we're smoking,
wings
we have
for
to decide.
sure.
Yeah, so I
Wings
think we
for
decided
sure.
on wings. We want to do. Mrs. Monty was saying she wanted to do, some a potato thing. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, you did? I was
yeah.
unaware of this.
Yeah, and then corn on the cob.
When was this decided?
Oh yeah, I thought we were doing like brats and
Oh,
stuff.
we could do brats too. Yeah, we could.
Oh,
definitely
there's
do
nothing
brats,
wrong
dude.
with
I
brats.
would
Brats,
love to do
corn,
brats, dude.
potato.
Brats or hot
Yeah.
dogs in the comments. Brats or
I'm
hot
making
dogs.
banana bread for sure this weekend.
You always say that, and then you never make it.
I don't always say that, and I've made it like
Mrs. Monty's like my mom. My mom used to bring like pans of lasagna from like Stouffer's to like family gatherings and be like, "Oh, this is my homemade lasagna slaved over a hot stove all day. Hope you like it." And everybody's like, "Oh, this is amazing." Mrs. Monty's like, "Oh, hey, look, I didn't." She doesn't even make excuses. She's just like, she's like, you're fat. I'm not making banana bread.
Fat.
Is that usually what happens?
I've made banana bread
we need some
so
cricket
many
sounds here.
times in the last few years. So what is going what is the malfunction this morning?
Nothing. We're playing cricket sounds. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm being an idiot.
All
All right. Brats. So we're not going to do wings. And we're probably not going to do pizza then.
No.
Because right now I'm
We
kind of
have-
on a...
We have several days.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
we
no
have,
li-
like,
I
tons,
would
dude,
like
yeah.
smoked pizza tomorrow.
I would enjoy smoked pizza tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of on a no bread thing right now. You guys, is nobody going to give me credit for the fact that I stopped eating tortillas at Chipotle? And Chipotle, I swear.
Yeah. So we have to go, but tell your Karen story. Tell your Karen story about the Chipotle.
Okay, so for those of you who are new to the show and don't know, I eat at Chipotle pretty much every day. There are some days I eat at Chipotle twice. And I have been getting a veggie burrito. But I wanted to lower my carb and like simple carb intake, which is like tortillas, bread. Yeah, because I'm fat.
Right.
Going to Hawaii, trying to lose weight, like doing really well. I work out 6 days a week.
Trying to get shredded, bro.
Summer shred is on. It's all good, right? So I cut out bread. And so what I've been doing is I'm just getting a bowl now, and I'm getting chicken instead of the bread. I'm getting chicken because one of the things I'm really struggling with, and I food diaried this week, and it's been a disaster. I haven't had nearly enough protein. I'm getting like 110 grams of protein a day, and I need like 250, and I'm not getting that. And so I decided, okay, well, I'm going to substitute my chicken into it instead of doing a burrito. So yesterday we ordered the bowl. What do you want? I want brown rice. I want double black beans. I want double pico. I want my queso, and I want chicken.
Right.
Yeah.
No chicken. I go. I go through the Chipotle lane because the new Chipotle at the district has a Chipotle lane.
Right. A drive-through.
It's not a drive-through.
It's a Chipotle lane. So I go there on Tuesday, and I sit there for like 7 minutes, so long that a certain jerk that I know was sitting in his car waiting for me. He had gone in, ordered, and walked out, and he was waiting in the parking lot like, bro, what's taking so long?
In a van down by the river.
Okay, I'm fine. The food was good. Yesterday, they didn't put chicken on my chicken burrito and charge me for it. Now, to their credit, my dog is starving. To their credit, they refunded it, and it's super easy to get a refund from Chipotle.
Right.
On the app. It's super easy on the app.
But refunds aren't protein-rich environments.
Get your lazy ass in the gym.
I need the protein. I didn't go Karen on anybody, mainly because I didn't talk to anybody. Mrs. Monty handles it through the Chipotle
I was
app.
like, yeah, it's no big deal. Let me go ahead and just do the thing in the app. They'll refund it.
But it's hard to get good service.
It is.
I'm telling you.
It is.
It is hard to get good service.
Yes, it is.
It is what it is. Anyway, that's it. We should probably go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Mrs. Monty, thank you for being here this week on the show. People tend to like you being here. Jake, screw you.
Thanks.
Always good. Everybody on the show this week, we had a record-breaking week on the show for views, for downloads on the podcast. The show is growing exponentially. We really appreciate the fact that you guys show up here every day. And we show up every day for you, and we appreciate that. Thanks for all the tips today. $16.99 in tips today.
Thank you.
Please be safe this weekend. We will be back on Monday for the Monty Show. Until Monday, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.
Whoop, whoop.